Let's move on to topic number 2 tonight. And it just seems like the Les Miles era in Kansas football never ends. I mean, the guy got fired months ago, and we're still hearing about things coming out of his program that were just not good. And then this is just another one, a big story coming out just a few days ago.
Yeah, that's right. So Caperton Humphrey, who was a player, I believe, in 2017 and 2018, came out and said that the University of Kansas football program offered him $50,000 to not talk about some harassment when he was with the football program. And some of this harassment, you know, you and I played high school football, like guys rib each other. There's even some hazing, and some hazing is very playful. It's not necessarily that big a deal. And then there's other hazing that's very serious, and it's abuse, and it shouldn't happen. So you start, you know, as a former high school football player, I kind of went to this, okay, let's what are the details of this whole story? And then you hear some of the things that happened with this kid where he got in a fight with like 3 other guys. And then at one point, some of the players loosened the lug nuts on the wheel of his car, and he starts driving away, and he can see in his rear view mirror or his side view mirror that one of the wheels it looks like it's going to fall off. It's like, how dangerous is that? I mean, this is abuse, man. So this guy faced some of this, and then he's offered $50,000 to keep his mouth shut. And it's like, a couple things. In this day and age, you know this is going to get out. If you're Kansas, yep, or whoever instigated this, which I got to think is Les Miles, you know this is going to get out. So why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? I mean, this is, it's just unfathomable to me that a major college university that prides itself on, you know, tradition, and their basketball program is huge. That's their big money maker there, even though, you know, football brings in money. But Kansas football teams haven't been great these past few years, no matter who they bring in as coach, whether it's Les Miles or Charlie Weiss or whoever. What are you doing? What are you doing? Just do the right thing. You know, I just don't understand the motivation for this, other than the fact that it's wrong to bribe a kid. You know this is going to come out. Second of all, like you mentioned, Les Miles, you know, whenever these coaches who have all these scandals, and where there's smoke, there's fire with some of these coaches, once they get fired, you know, that's never the end of the story. There's always something that comes out later. Even the coach might even feed some stories to some of the local press if they feel wronged by the university. So it's not just Les Miles. I'm sure, you know, we'll see if anything happens to the AD. We'll see if anything happens to the compliance director. We'll see if anything happens to football operations. I mean, we'll see, you know, who else is involved in this. But once you start peeling that onion, a lot comes out of it. So we'll see who's totally responsible for this. But this is crazy.
No, I agree. And I could be wrong, but I think they've moved on from the athletic director shortly after Les Miles as well.
You're right.
But I could be wrong with that. But I think they were kind of both fired in the same breath. But I'll have to double check on that. But hey, University of Kansas, if you want to pay us $50,000, we'll take this video down. I'll have producer Ben drop it out right now, and you won't even have the bad publicity. But it's going to cost you another $50,000, unfortunately, because you just want to keep paying your way out of problems anyway. So if you want to pay us, I'd be down for that. We can split it 3 ways, because obviously there's producer Ben as well in the background. Great job, producer Ben. You deserve some of that Kansas money. I think it's one of those things where, man, yeah, it just keeps coming out. And honestly, I've got to question what he did at LSU now, too. I'm sorry, because so many things have come out at Kansas. You usually don't change as a person in your ways, okay, especially as a coach. I'm a coach. I should know. I'm telling you, I really want to know what went on behind the scenes at LSU now, too. And here's the thing, because he was even more successful at LSU, you might not get to hear that stuff. And that's the crazy part right now, is that a lot of that stuff was probably swept under the rug even more so at LSU. Maybe people were paid off even more money, so they're not coming forward now. But at Kansas, for Caperton Humphrey, it just sounded like it was a nightmare going on for this young man, and it shouldn't have been, man. I was honestly disgusted to read this article. You would think going to play Division I football at a big school like that would be a dream come true. And you'd be able to enjoy it, enjoy the perks of being a D1 football player, and get a great education, and then move on with your life like 90% of NCAA athletes do. But this young man was just facing adversity from his own teammates every single day. And like you said, certainly there are rifts on teams. If you've never played on a team, you're not saying you have to like everybody. That certainly does not happen, but you have to respect each other. And especially if you're working towards the same goal, you have to learn to work together. It just did not seem like this was going on there. And I blame the coaches. I blame the coaches for not having it and not having the right chemistry around this program and trying to sweep things under the rug. Another thing in the article they said was that, this was like 4 or 5 incidents, and he kept trying to go to his head coach, Les Miles. Les Miles often would turn him away, not wanting to hear it. So that's another disappointing thing to read. And then one time he said he wanted to have them settle their differences on the practice field. That's so old school, like 1950, 1940s football coaching. That's ridiculous. Settle it on the practice field. Clearly, these are issues. At one point, Humphrey said that he thought one of his teammates had a gun when he entered his apartment. So he felt threatened for his life. His family felt threatened for his life at this point. So this was big. This was much bigger. The university, instead of stepping in and fixing it, they really decided that they were going to pay this off and sweep it underneath the rug. I wish it came out a lot sooner, but I'm sure within this $50,000, he probably had to keep his mouth shut for a short amount of time. Or who knows? Who knows? Maybe he's breaking an agreement at this point to talk about it. But I know his family's had enough, and they're the ones that really want to talk about it. And I don't blame them at all. But also in the article, one of the things that I wanted to see was who the 4 teammates were that were actually making his life a living nightmare, and they did not name them at all. Okay, we're not talking about high school players. We're talking about college players that are over the age of 18. Some of these guys are probably 23 or 24 at this point. I think they need to be named at this point. So hopefully, if you're out there, you're watching this first, people, give us a subscribe, give us a like. But if you agree with us, dig in there, man. Internet, do your job. Dig in there, find out who these 4 players are so we can shame them, because this is just a ridiculous story, and I don't think we've seen the end of it.
You wonder if some of those players are now in the NFL. I think that would be interesting to see, too. And if any of those players are in the NFL, if they're smart, they'd come out right away and just say, I was one of those guys. I was in a you-know-what hole, and I'm sorry, and it was stupid, and, I'll do anything to, and the first guy to do that out of the 4 is going to be looked at as the mature, yep. He's become a better person. And then the last guy is going to look like an idiot. So either one of them comes out, or all 4 of them come out and say, hey, it was us, and we're sorry, and, we'll do anything to make it up to him, and we were idiots back then. So, but you mentioned, they threatened his 15-year-old brother and his dad. I mean, the whole thing is just, I don't know why guys get off on that. I think it's crazy. So that story is going to have a lot more to it, I think, as the days go and weeks and months go on. So we'll see what happens there.